Hi, welcome back to the garden for another quick weekly update. Now, there's not a lot that's actually changed in the garden other than the plants getting bigger, because as you can see over my shoulder, most of my focus has been clearing that brush underneath the tree. And it's not quite all done, but a whole lot better than it was. So here on the first set of buckets and such, my potatoes are continuing to grow. I'm not exactly sure when I should dump these out and harvest them, but they're green and happy, so I'm just going to leave that. The sweet potato slips, this was an experiment to see if we can actually grow sweet potato slips. And we've got one and it's getting kind of big, so we'll see how this continues to go. Over here, we've got my bush beans. These were primarily planted just to fix the nitrogen in these buckets, or grow bags. And they're coming up. I mean, you can see they're not huge. They aren't putting on any fruit yet. But frankly, if I actually get beans, that's just kind of a bonus. Quickly walk over. Here's the other set of bush beans that went down. And I've had to replant these at a few times, so that's why you'll see some of them, like that guy, are tiny compared to others like these guys, which are kind of huge. So still no actual beans yet, but they're growing. These I just set up with my spare containers and filled them with dirt from my dirt pile. Nothing's actually growing there. The new chard, these were planted after I moved, are starting to continue getting real leaves. They're not getting particularly big. I'll probably fertilize them sometime this week. But they're growing. They seem to be okay. Supposedly these will tolerate down to about 15 degrees, so hopefully these will survive the winter. Now if I go over to my pepper bed, I've got some peppers growing. Most of these are still tiny little peppers. So I have no idea if these are actually going to survive the winter. We kind of got a cold snap here. That one's looking a little bigger. We got a cold snap here, and we had a few nights that made it down into the 30s. So, yeah, it's kind of been unusual. It's supposed to warm up, so maybe these will all recover. Go down to the end, though. That guy, I'm pretty sure he's a jalapeno. He's actually looks like he's doing pretty well. Same with this jalapeno. Okay, in the tomatoes, these are actually continuing to be okay. This is the one that doesn't have a cage because I ran out of cages. I did support them all. The supports are, the tomatoes are just loosely tied to the support sticks using some knitting thread from that I kind of stole from my wife. Thanks, sweetheart, if you actually watch this video. But the tomatoes are getting bigger. I'll just put my hand over there so you have something for size comparison. I have no idea if these are actually going to produce fruit this year. They were kind of done as an experiment because after I moved, I felt like I needed something to be growing. Here's my star performing tomato so far. He's the biggest. It also gives me something nice to look at out my office window. Going over here, the calamansi tree, it's getting bigger. Getting a little discolored leaves. That might get more fertilizer, see what I can do to keep that happy. If anyone has any suggestions on how to grow calamansi and jackfruit, here's my main jackfruit. It's still got little white dots on it. If you have any suggestions on how to improve these, please leave them in the comments. Over here, I have the bags of chard. These guys really like the fertilizer they got like a month ago and keep getting bigger. And here's my wife's bok choy. I've been told by a friend that that greens will continue growing along with carrots all winter. So hopefully we'll just be able to harvest off these for a while. And speaking of carrots, here's my wife's seed starts. I have no idea if anything in the cilantro bucket's actually really cilantro, but the peppers are definitely coming up with real peppers. They've just been slow. The carrots are desperately in need of being transplanted, because that is a lot of carrot. It's a lot of carrots. And then the lettuce. And on my seed starts over here, I think that is entirely weeds, and none of the heirloom banana peppers came up. I didn't particularly like those peppers, so no big loss. So that's pretty much all that's changed in the garden this week. If y'all aren't gardening, think about doing it. It's about time to order onion starts if you're going to do that. In my area, zone 8B, there's not a lot you can put down right now, but you can definitely start getting soil ready. If you want to do seed starts for tomatoes, peppers, like the more traditional vegetable crops, generally you want to start those around December, like end of December, early January. And if you're going to buy seedlings from like Home Depot or something, that's March. So you've got a few months if you want to start gardening to get ready. Unless you want to do onions. And if you happen to be in the area and want to do onions and want to like split an order of onions from Dixondale for starts, let me know in the comments, because they're so much cheaper when you buy in quantity. Anyways, talk to y'all next week.